But I vividly remember the very first time I heard that beautiful music. It was like silk in the air. It was incredible. And I found under a mango tree an old Hawaiian man sitting on a Wesson oil can, playing his guitar all by himself, and couldn't believe the beauty of this music that I was hearing. It just went right in my soul somehow.
I love the language, I love all the imagery and everything, but still in my heart of hearts, it's the feeling of why music gives me.
Keola's music brought me into Slack Key. It's the music I heard that captured me and kind of attracted me to the style.
Keola Beamer style is the best slack key that there is on the planet.
Keola is where it all started for me, and he's just, you know, he was always good, but now he's just great.
His music really is a reflection of his experiences in his life. And sometimes there are experiences that are maybe not so significant to other people, but he'll tell a story by what he's thinking and what he's feeling around it.
Well, I first heard slack key guitar in around 1974. The first slack key guitarist I studied was Keola Beamer, and I'm still learning from him.
Driving my car in the evening air, cruising down the road. I hear a voice on the radio, singing music sweet and low.
We started recording him about 1989. His forte is creating arrangements more than improvising. He does improvise and can, but he prefers to create arrangements, and he does beautiful ones, and they're often, in my opinion, the definitive version of the song, or the way I want to play it anyway.
Is somehow a part of me, and I am proud to be island born. I don't know where I'm going, and I got no place to be. Feeling grateful in my soul for this land called home, and proud to be island born. From the mountain to the sea, so proud to be island born. Island born. From the mountain to the sea, so proud to be island.
We see a positive flow of creative energy that we call aumakua, which is above us somewhere. So when we write music, it's kind of an attempt to be a part of that, or to reach it, you know, to connect with it somehow. I wish I had like a formula or something for writing music, but I don't. I just sit and spend some time and you know, try to have some sort of honest approach to my work. You know, what am I trying to say? What do I feel? And usually by by working that way and being patient, I, somehow make a connection with something that's more important than me,
Slack key is my favorite tradition of any music tradition. It's also the least well known of the world's great guitar traditions. If you think about it, it's less known than jazz guitar, flamenco guitar, classical guitar, American folk, Brazilian bossa nova, pre-war Delta blues, Chicago blues. It's less known than any of those traditions. And it's probably because two reasons. Hawaii is the farthest bunch of islands from any landmass in the world, and also people knew Hawaiian music from the Hapahaole recordings, the first half of the 20th century, and the steel guitar.
Well, the Hawaiian slack key guitar is pretty interesting. It started around cattle in Hawaii, and when the cattle were introduced by the British, they were given as a gift to King Kamehameha, I think it was the second. And the Hawaiians, really didn't understand cattle. They didn't know how to take care of them, how to control them. So the herds just began populating on the Big Island. They were roaming free. And they got to be a problem. They'd trample people's taro patches, and they just became sort of a nuisance. The king decided that he had to bring some Spanish vaqueros to Hawaii to teach the Hawaiians how to handle their cattle population. So when the vaqueros came, they bought their lassos, their horses, their saddles, and they bought their guitars. Now, the Hawaiians would sit around the campfire with them after work and discover that this was a great instrument. It was beautiful, singing strings. And of course, they didn't understand how to play it or how it worked, and they weren't given any lessons of any kind. And when the vaqueros left, they said, here, take this. And so, you got a Hawaiian guy, and now he's going, whoa, well, now what do I do, right? So the first thing is you have to figure out how to tune the instrument. And if you don't have any instructions at all, or you sort of naturally maybe tune it to a major chord or something that sounds good. So they started slacking the strings down and tuning to major chords to accompany themselves, and then you can, sort of bar your way along the guitar and sort of change the chords and get a feeling of it. And this is the very beginning of it. It's gotten quite more sophisticated as the years went by, and each of these tunings represents sort of a beautiful coloration. And it makes the guitar a much more alive platform because all strings are sort of all vibrating sympathetically together all the time. So it makes the guitar sort of jump out a little bit more. I sort of envision it as each of these tunings being a different sort of palette or combination of colors. Some are kind of sad and mysterious, some are bright and happy. So part of the art of the Hawaiian slack key guitar is matching the tuning to the song or the arrangement.
Just in the last few years, I would read that Keola had the quality of a dream guitar. And I thought, isn't that nice? He plays a dream guitar. That says a lot for his style and everything. And I thought, is there another pinnacle above a dream guitar? And then along comes Island Born, and I thought, more spiritual, more philosophical, and certainly touched my heart.
Cyril Paenui and Ledward Ka'apana are also members of two more of the great Hawaiian musical families, Paenui family and the Ka'apana family.
This style of guitar playing is one of our cultures too in Hawaiian music, besides hula and the way we live. But music is it's a therapy thing, and music, by playing our guitar, you just ease your body out when you grab your guitar and perform.
Cyril is one of the great improvisers, and he just has his own feeling. He's absolutely the all-time, in my opinion, greatest player in D major tuning and in the C major tuning.
Because every island there's one good player, and they have their own special tuning, Keola Beamer, his family is very popular. What style? For me, that's his own style. He have that folk kind of thing.
Led's an inspiration to me musically, but he's also an inspiration as to how much he enjoys playing.
In the old days, it was a secret to each family, so that's why the music wasn't put out in the world, so it was always held back. The only time you could hear the music is that when you go to the luau's, parties like that, and then that's the only time you could hear the slaki. Because when I was growing up, they never did show their tunings. Everybody used to hide their tunings. So each family had their own style of playing and tunings.
Keola Beamer. It was more like the, well, he liked, the Spanish well, I could hear some Spanish influence or Mexican style.
What I love about this next piece is it combines the rhythmic motifs of the Spanish who introduced the guitar to Hawaii with our own Kiho Alu, our own Hawaiian slack key guitar. It's called Po Mahina.
I like to look at the Hawaiian slack key guitar technique and kind of expand it in my life. I mean, I've always believed that it belonged on a concert stage somewhere, which is interesting because it's really a grassroots kind of thing. When I was a young man, it was very difficult to learn how to play Hawaiian slack key guitar. There was a few resources. All the tunings were top secret. And it was really, really difficult to get anywhere because you weren't hearing it played in any of the clubs, and you weren't finding people that were willing to talk about it or teach you how to tune your guitar. So it's really hard. This was the sort of paradigm of the Hawaiian slack key guitar for many years. And the reason was that Hawaiians had lost so much in their lives. They'd lost their religious system, they'd lost their lands, they felt kind of adrift in the world, and they began to realize that each time they shared something, it ended up disappearing. So the things that they really loved started going underground: the chant, the hula, certain forms of music, including Kiho Alu, Hawaiian slack key guitar. And that was the way it stayed for quite a while. And one day, the paradigm began to shift when we as a culture realized that we were losing this beautiful type of music, and it was dying. And when people sort of began to understand that, I think they began to sort of figure out that we had to hold the things we love with an open hand. You know, we had to begin sharing them again. And so it's like magic. All of a sudden that whole attitude changed. We, you know, we didn't sit down and have a meeting. You know, it just, culturally, it just changed. And pretty soon kids were learning about the tunings from Uncle so-and-so, and it was just loosening, you know. Now, thanks to that change, it's been a lot easier for the younger students and the rest of us to kind of get a clue.
Hene Hene is one that was written in probably the time of my grandparents and Keola's. And it's really true. It has in it all those important things in life. Love, not just any old kind of love, but the kind that really makes the body tingle, like electricity that it says in the sound. And of course, laughter. Hene Hene Ko'aka. And best of all, and really a lot of Hawaiians understand this, is food.
It's the usual thing for you and I.
It's not typical Hawaiian music. You sing about the beauty of the earth, and then there's the food.
It all fits. It all fits. Yeah.
Hene hene ku, kule ale apa, maybe I'm not on the way for you. Hene hene ku, kule ale apa, maybe I'm on the way for you. Kule mami, kule keki.
It's a wonderful thing to play music. You know, it's the idea that you can create something from nothing. And at first you don't sort of realize that that's what's happening. And then when you do, it's pretty, it's a very positive thing in a young person's life, you know. You can sort of feel some wonderful things with music when you're trying to write or stumbling along or anything. Just kind of making a connection with yourself.
I was fortunate to be raised in a very beautiful place on the Big Island, the island of Hawaii. Beautiful little town called Burgmaier on the slopes of Mauna Kea. My grandfather had a ranch, a Hawaiian homestead ranch, right on the slopes of Mauna Kea. And every morning we'd look through the picture window and drink our cocoa. And we'd see that beautiful mountain and watch as the mist would come and the clouds would go by. And it seemed like every moment the mountain was so alive. So I'd like to share with you my song about those days called The Beauty of Mauna Kea. Thanks. Hele kia kia no mai, like a Mauna Kea, Mauna Kea Kea, hiruna ku kila kila, kila kila oluna, olunai ke. My friend and I would sometimes roam the trails of Mauna Kea, And in the evening we come home to see her standing there. The moon's around her when she sleeps. The clouds stand beside her when she and I could be forgotten and 1,000 miles away. Still I would recall the beauty of Mauna Kea. Now to any land you go, she will be with you if you love her like I do. Oh, Mauna Kea. And I live in the city now, and I see different things in the nights when I am alone. She's in my dreams. The wind spins around her when she the sun spreads its warmth across her face, and I could be forgotten and 1,000 miles away. Still I would recall the beauty of Mauna Kea.
Of course, people love Keola. His own natural way, you know. He doesn't put on anything when he's on stage. He's just Keola. And his behavior with people and the way he conducts himself, and you'll hear tonight. In fact, sometimes I have to look out at the audience. I feel like they've all fallen asleep. Everything is so quiet, like you're in church. And I think, what a compliment, you know. But his work is really quite unusual. But all of it is honest and real, and his humor. You'll die laughing at his humor. I was very surprised. At rehearsal, I thought, oh, they're just horsing around. And then I saw it on stage. They weren't horsing around.
The song that I do called Hawaiian Cowboy is kind of about my days with my horse. And why the long face? Those are good times when I was growing up. We were surrounded by animals, and to this day, I just love animals so much. Love to be with them. Love to look at them and see what they're doing, and so it's a good life out here.
And then later on, we moved to Maui, which was great because I could have my own horse, and I loved my horse. It was a deep, enduring love. It got to be like where if I had to play someplace, I'd warm up before the show and I'd be tuning my guitar and I'd be thinking, how's my horse? Anyway, after the therapy, it got a little bit better, but Rosilani Dandy is the pride of Maui Island. She can truly cut a canter on the lava by the sea. When I lower my spurs to a tender little side, she wiggle and wiggle all the way. Up through the brambles, through the hills of Poly, will be Remi through the bushes where the heifers love to play. Rosilani loves her big Hawaiian cowboy. Akuri, Rosilani, Rosilani, Rosilani. Rosilani, Rosilani, Unali, Aloha, he got big Hawaiian cowboy. Sorry about that. A little cross-culture pollinization. Well, I don't know the words to this verse, so I'm gonna make them up. After all, I'm just a big dumb cowboy. Manapua pepeau kachi kachi music. Yeklang has a big simoy. Aloha, pick a big Hawaiian cowboy. Rosilani, I'll remember you when people ask me why I'm so bow-legged.
Keola Beamer comes from one of the great musical families, the Beamer family. Helen Deshay Beamer was a great composer. Keola's mom, Nona Beamer, created Hawaiian studies, language and history in Hawaiian studies at Kamehameha School. Of all places for it not to be, but it wasn't. And so she's made a great contribution in many areas, getting the authentic hula recognized, composing the songs Pupu Hinu Hinu, Kahuliaku, and just being an inspiration just as a teacher and just a inspiration as to who she is. And Keola's brother Kapono's a great guitarist, made a lot of records as well. So they're one of the great musical families of all time in Hawaii.
Well, the Beamer family history goes back to the 13th century now in Hawaii, which is kind of as far as we've been able to trace it. And so it's a series of interconnected relationships with Hawaiians and their culture and their place on the earth, and you know, how do we express that? Our music is very much nature-oriented because we believe that this is a very special place. If you look out at that ocean, it is huge, you know. So when you find an island after months of arduous travel, it's really, really special. And so our songs celebrate the beauty of these islands in incredible detail and in many levels. There's the sort of surface level of the plants and the trees and the beautiful. Then there's another level that we call kauna. It's an underlying level of deeper meaning, has more interesting connotations. That's an interesting thing about Hawaiian poetry in general and its music is it always operates on two levels.
Well, I'm playing a little song for Lenny. And these guitars that Steve makes are really special. They're beautiful, and they have what we call in Hawaiian nahe nahe. That means a kind of a sweet kind of soulfulness in his instruments, which is why I love to play them and why I love to come out to Kula and hang out with him and inspire him to build more and experiment
Steve, tell me a little bit about how you're finding this double hole design. How's that working out for you?
Well, it's been quite a discovery for me because I didn't think that it would sound that much different from a single sound hole guitar, but it is totally different. What happens is when you have a standard guitar with a round sound hole in the center, it's a weak spot. A hole is a weak spot, so it needs bracing. And so the X brace is moved up, and there's extra bracing running across here, all to support this round sound hole in the middle. And that makes the effective vibrating area of the soundboard pretty much from the sound hole
down
on back.
Right.
And when you move up here, you have this stiffness of the fingerboard. There's an X brace here. The sides are very stiff, and so the two sound holes have a more natural support system, and so there's no restrictive heavy bracing in this area of the top. Your speaker now becomes this much area, and it just gives you it gives you a more rich sound, and a smaller guitar is capable of producing the bass that you'd expect to find in a larger guitar.
And the sustain is so beautiful.
The sustain is very, very good. You have a nice big surface to work with. It's kind of like going from an 8-inch speaker in a stereo system to a 15-inch speaker.
Wow.
You just get a richer bass response. This guitar top is ready to go on. It's got its locator pins that will keep it from sliding once the glue is put on. What I'm going to do here is attach the top, the soundboard, to the rim, the sides. It's quite a fast process. Once the glue starts going on, you have to work fast because yellow glue sets up in about 7 minutes.
That's a pretty thin bead all the way around.
Yeah, what I'll do is I put on enough. I want to see some squeeze out on the inside, just a very little bit, and even then I wipe that off.
Sure. Another beautiful thing about your instruments is the attention to detail is always there when you peek into it with a mirror or look at it closely. You can see that you really spent time with the bracing and the sanding.
It doesn't really take that much time, and it really makes a big difference. And if you look in a lot of factory guitars, they're so concerned about the bottom line being time, which is money, but they don't really want to have more than about 8 hours in a completed instrument, as opposed to 80. Excuse me, Keola. Got to make sure this drops into the right hole. I don't put a lot of pressure on the tubing because it really doesn't take much to just hold the top onto the sides. They've been fitted already, and they should be pretty much just ready to be lightly held down.
You just want a uniform pressure all the way across.
Right. And that's it. And the current batch of Beamers.
Wow, that's a line of beautiful guitars.
Hōʻalu is a real favorite of mine because it literally means the beautiful world. And it's really simple. It's actually written for children. It's dedicated to children. In the chant style, it says, He no no nakamali'i, in the name of the children, dedicated to them. It's by a wonderful scholar by the name of Mary Pukui. And the reason I love it so much is because so many people can easily identify the experience of a beautiful mountain, your favorite place near the water, your favorite place in the forest. Either all, we're lucky in Hawaii to identify with all of it, or some of it can touch you.
Up above, high up above, birds fly. Down below, far below, flowers grow. In the mountains,
I think it's a law in Hawaii that all Hawaiian kids have to play ukulele. I'm pretty sure that it's the ukulele law. So as soon as your hands are old enough to go, to make a little shaka sign, you get a ukulele, and then you learn to play it. And it's fun, and it's pretty easy. It's got 4 strings, and the chords are, kind of right there, easy to make. And so you go that way for a while, and you have a blast for years. I remember my brother and I used to go to the mainland to summer camp. Mom would, say, okay, boys, goodbye. She put us on the plane to California. We'd play the entire 5 hours, or just wailing on our ukuleles in our little plane seats. Can you imagine what that must have sounded like?
Well, I worried for fear that I wasn't exposing them to as much of the world music. I was a single parent, and I never had the kind of money, and concerts and things were not available to us, So I bought them Kingston Trio records. I don't give a damn about a greenback, $1. I like to give it away. They took to the music like ducks. And then I got them Chet Atkins, and they loved Chet Atkins. So that was their early adventure into non-Hawaiian music, and they loved it. Mm-hmm. In fact, the first paid engagement they had, I think Keola must have been 10 years old.
This is like we were in honestly, the 4th grade, and got hired to play a high school dance. Can you imagine how desperate you have to be for entertainment to hire a couple of 4th graders? It's like $10, man. That money was huge.
So we took them. So here's the intermission. The band goes out, and they're lighting their cigarettes, and these 2 kids are playing. And pretty soon I hear the band director saying, hey, those kids, they're damn good. Put out their cigarettes, and they came right in to listen to these 2 kids, 9 and 10 years old. Don't give a damn about a greenback, $1. So I knew he was destined for great things.
And, we went and sang our little songs, and everybody was clapping, and they really liked it, and it's kind of the first time one had the feeling of, sort of acceptance, with your ukulele and guitar. And funny how those memories, my life really hasn't changed that much. I mean, hopefully the music is a little better. But I'm still kind of doing that stuff, and having a great time doing it. I love what I do. I love my life. Maui, what a beautiful place to live. It's kind of an irony to me that, I make my living with music, but I really, in my heart of hearts, think that this kind of silence and these sounds, the wind rattling in the palm leaves and the ocean, these are the most beautiful sounds in the world. And so it's kind of ironic to me that the sound of silence is what I seem to love the most in my life,
I can't wait to get on the road again.
As a guitar player, I love all kind of guitar playing, and slack key is a specialty. It requires a lot of skill. It requires a guy who really knows what he's doing, like Beamer. There's no better slack key player than Beamer, and I think most of the players realize that and recognize it and really honor him.
Well, Ozzie Kotani is one of the great slack key players of all time, and he and I share something in common, that we both studied Keola first.
Keola's music brought me into slack key. It's the music I heard that captured me and kind of attracted me to the style, and his music has influenced me over the years. He's especially influenced me in things like adding bridge parts to arrangements and the way he uses chords and things like that. Yeah, I respect Keola tremendously.
It was 30 years ago, 1971, and I knew about slack key, and I'd heard slack key. I'd listened to Sonny Chillingworth on with Marlene Tsai and different records that my folks had, and I would just like wear them out. And then I was reading the paper and I saw an ad for slack key guitar lessons, and I kind of went boing, and I read it and it said Keola Beamer, and I was like double boing, get me the phone, you know, quick. And so I got in there, and it took 6 lessons in 6 weeks, once a week, go take the lessons. And it just changed my world. And that's how I got into slack key, and I've just been sticking with it ever since.
I wrote a song a couple years ago that I still love and still feel every time I get on that big plane. And I'd like to sing it for you now. Looking out upon the city lights and the stars above the ocean, got my ticket for the midnight plane, and it's not easy to leave again. Took my clothes and put them in my bags. Try not to think just yet of leaving. Looking out into the city night, oh, it's not easy to leave again. And each time Honolulu city lights stir up memories in me, and each time Honolulu city lights will bring me back again. You are my island sunset, and you are my island rain. Put on my shoes and light a cigarette, wondering which of my friends will be standing with their lace around my neck. Oh, it's not easy to leave again. And each time Honolulu city lights stir up memories in me, and each time Honolulu city lights will bring me back again, will bring me back again, bring me back again.
We believe that there are guardian angels or protective spirits, aumakua, spirit guides, whatever you want to, whatever terms you want to use. We believe that these are very real, and that they surround us, and that they're summoned when we're having difficulties in our lives. I have a tattoo of a shark on my leg, and this is the aumakua, or guardian spirit for our family. And in the old days, it was an individual shark, and he was fed every day, in the morning, in the evening, and he grew to understand that these this tribe or this family was taking care of him. So when they go out to fish, he would be there and he would protect them. And I have a true story of when I was a boy. In a canoe with my grandfather, the ama, or the arm of the canoe, broke off, and we were out in very deep water, and it was very dangerous. I'd never seen my grandfather afraid before, but he was afraid that day. And it was he, my brother, myself, we were just little boys. And so he said a little prayer, and sure enough, the aumakua, or the shark, came underneath the canoe, pushed it up a little bit, and slowly pushed it towards the shore. And we have all our relatives who remember that day, and remember the canoe coming in and the shark splashing and the water splashing all around the canoe. And those things happen. Pretty amazing. I'm very honored to be a part of the Beamer family, and very powerful connections to Hawaii's past and the music and dance of Hawaii.
Well, I think he's appreciative of Hawaii, and I think he's appreciative of being part of the family and being nurtured in this land.
So I'm lucky that, you know, I'm not, didn't try to be a dancer or something like that. And the world is lucky too. But I'm fortunate because I found something that I love to do and somehow managed to eke out a living doing it, you know.
Sunrise on the mountain, moving o'er the trees.
All of us work hard. Some of us have to work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet in Hawaii. But for most of us, there's one time of the day when we take a minute and we pause from whatever we're doing and we look out at that beautiful ocean or the clouds or the sky or the mountains, and something happens to you in here. You know, you just feel this gratitude, you know, to be a part of that, to be here. And we never forget that. And so we're proud to be island born.
So proud to be island. From the mountain to the sea, so proud to be island born.
Funding for this program was provided by Maui Fest Hawaii, a celebration of music, arts, culture, and film on the islands of Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. To order a DVD of Kiho Alu, Keola Beamer, please visit jazzalleytv.com.